keep up to date with our latest videos, please hit the subscribe button below.
Hi there, it's Chris here from footballbetdata.com. In this video, I'm going to be using box plots to analyse performance of specific leagues over a period of time and looking at the current season in relation to those previous leagues and where the trends sit. So first of all, you need to navigate to the fixtures and results page, which I've got on screen here, and then select the respective leagues of interest. So for this example, I've just selected the four main professional leagues in England, and I've selected every season. So we've got 22, 23 seasons worth of data to export. Now, depending on the amount of leagues and seasons that you want to run, you may have to export in a couple of separate installments and then bed those together. But I've already done the export and have it on screen for you now. Just remember as well to take out any games that haven't played. So I've already done that. So we've got all the way back to 1998. And if you scroll right to the bottom of the data set, we go up to the 9th of October 2021. So those are all games that have played and completed. So we have the data we need in there. Now, on the separate sheet, what I've done is create a pivot table, and I've selected the whole data range. Always best practice to select the full data range, even if there's columns that you're not going to use or need in there. It's best practice to do that in case you do have to add something in or adapt it in the future. So here on the left hand side, what I've done is create a simple pivot table. And I'm just going to bring up the details so you can see that. So we've got the league and the season. So you've got the league, season, and then we have the results across the top, home, draw, away, and then we have the count of those results. And what I've done is display this as a percentage of row total. Okay, so that gives the percentage. Just scroll down a little bit more, you can see that League E0, which is the Premiership, blends into E1, which is the Championship, and then we've got E2, E3, and those years are in order. Okay. Now, the setup of the pivot table is in tabular form, and we select repeat all item labels, and we take off any subtotals. So we make sure by right-clicking here, we can take off the subtotals of the league. Now, actually, if we click on season, right-click here, you'll see there'll be a tick. We can untick it. It doesn't matter on the report because there's no further row fields on that, so there's no subtotaling there for those anyway, but that's how you do it. Right click. Okay, now across to the right hand side, so we've done an earlier video on box plots, so these should be familiar to you. If not, then suggest maybe watching one of the earlier videos we've done on box plotting, which does explain the formulas involved, but I will walk you through these here. Now, in this example, we've got the four leagues. I think in previous examples, we only had one column of data. So what we've done here is add 3 additional columns of data. And these are all fairly self-explanatory, these statistics. So we've got the minimum. And what we've done here is look at the range for the English Premiership from 98-99 through to the 2021 season. So we're looking at the complete seasons here. So we've got the minimum, we've got the lower quartile, the median, which incidentally you can use this same formula, this quartile formula, and if you put 0 it would give you the minimum, if you put 2 it will give you the median, and if you put 4 it will give you the max. But we've done it, you can use max or median, does the same thing. It's same horse, different jockey really, so it gives you the same outcome. And then the range is calculated, and then we have the average, which is the mean. Okay. Then we have some further cells that calculate, which is the hidden boxes, and then we have another calculate for the lower and upper boxes, and then we have the whiskers as well, which I'll take you through in a moment. And then in addition to that, I've added in this season. So this season's incomplete. So this is a reference, and I've hard coded in here some of the detail, as you can see. So we've referenced cell P3, which is the league, and we've referenced cell E3, which is this middle column here, which as we have it sorted, is the draw column, and then it's season 21-22. So what we can do is then just drag that across, and you'll see that it now references cell E1, sorry, cell Q3, which is League E1, and we still hold the draw column because we've got the $ in front of both the column and the row number there, whereas the league, we just have the $ in front of the row. Okay, so that gives us the data for the current season. Now here's the graph that we've plotted, and this is based on the draw. Okay, now one thing to consider, actually what we're going to look at is the, and I'm just going to freeze this here so we can see the headers. So one thing to consider is that last season, the COVID season, very few games were played in front of a crowd. Now you can see here that the away wins in the Premiership actually eclipsed the home wins, and looking at that percentage, it's the highest percentage in the data set. So in over 20 years, the amount of away wins in the Premiership were the highest ever, and that then has a knock-on effect with the amount of draws. So there were a fewer amount of draws than normal. The 18-19 season actually had a lower amount of draws, but the away win is certainly the trend that you'll see throughout most of these leagues. Again, with the Championship, a higher percentage than any of the previous seasons. As you start working your way down, obviously the lower the league, generally the lower the attendance, so the less impact on the home and away bias perhaps. It's certainly shown that in League One there was a higher away win percentage than any of the previous seasons. But if we go to League Two, you'll see that it's higher than most, but you did have two seasons, actually 15, 16, 17, 18, 16, 17, where there was a higher win percentage for the away team. And even in 07-08, it was a 37%. So perhaps the crowd factor less as you work your way down the leagues. It might be even in some instances that the away team has a larger portion of the crowd than the home team in some games. So it's arguable that does have a contributing factor. So just wanted to point that out, that the 2021 season was a bit of an anomaly in terms of results. You've got to bear that in mind. But we have the full data set for all of these leagues, and what I've done, I just referenced the like I said, the 98-99 season through to the 2021 season, and that is then plotted on this graph. So you can see here the box plots for each of the leagues. Now what we've got here is the lower whisker, and the graph below just details this for you, although it's flipped vertically rather than, sorry, it's flipped horizontally rather than vertically. You'll see that the lower whiskers, that makes up 25% of the output. The middle section, which is known as the interquartile range, makes up the middle 50%, and then the middle line of that is the median, and then the upper whisker is the other 25%. So that is how these box plots represent the data. So you can see here that 25% of the English Premiership games in the last 23 seasons have fallen in this range here, sort of between about 18.5% through to about 24%. Then you've got 50% of the games within this interquartile range, and then the other 25% in that upper whisker. And then the red dot is plotted, that is the current season. So this season's data is represented by this red dot. So you can use box plots really quickly here just to see if a league is performing in a certain way. Certainly now we've had, a reasonable amount of games, you don't see anything really that sits outside of the norm here. All of these current season plots are within the expected ranges. You might say that the Championship, the amount of draws is quite high, and you might expect that to drop. League One, the amount of draws are well within that small, tight interquartile range. But there's nothing really there that stands out to give anything significant of note. But what we can do is swap this around, so we can put into this middle column the away win, and this will automatically calculate for us the away wins, because like I said, we've referenced that cell and the league, and this is referencing the middle column. So all of those calculations will have updated, and that gives you the away wins. Now, again, nothing really significant. You might say again that League One, right down the bottom, so the outlier, the minimum, we're currently on or around that. So we can see that here, that the minimum within the range for League One was 24.46 over those past completed seasons, and this season 24.24, so slightly below. So you might expect the amount of away wins in League One to increase. Now, if we just swap that around and put home wins in there, you can see in League One again, outside of the current range, so very tight range here, but you can see that the current season home teams are outperforming any of the previous seasons. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that trend will end. It might be that maximum limit becomes a new one for this season, but the likelihood is that might retract to the norm. So you would expect fewer home wins as a percentage going forward as that retracts to the norm. Looking at the Championship, you've got you're sort of almost on the minimum level, which is 41.1%. You're on 41.6 so far in the Championship. So you might expect some more home wins throughout the Championship. Now, there are other factors. It might be that quite a lot of home teams playing at their home games have been underdogs, so you can then compare it to the average odds range as well, which is in the database as well. So you can throw that factor in there as well to make the table even more meaningful. But as a starter for 10, this is a really good way to look at a league and to look at the results in that league and how they're performing compared to the expected levels.